Just a couple minutes here. All right, we are live right now. Um, Let me make sure the settings are proper. What's up, everybody out there? This is your host, Derek Stroman. We are doing our Speak Your Mind version of the Paramedia Activity show with my good buddy host, Travis Short, and other special guests this evening. Very excited. It's been a little while since Travis and I have been during our show here, and a lot has happened, for us, and I'm sure for all of you out there. So don't be afraid to chime in, man. I mean, we're not going to stay on too long tonight, um, but we will give some time to discuss some things and maybe get acquainted with some new people out there that are experiencing things. I mean, I have a professional on the show. I'm not as much of a professional in this realm of what's happening, whether you believe it or not. But Travis Short is. He's written plenty of articles and things of that nature. His experience with the Mothman is renowned. So it's going to be interesting to talk to him again about some of the things that have been going on. But we have not officially started the show until we kick off the intro. And ladies and gentlemen, the show begins now. Okay, all right, and we are back. Again, I'm your host, Derek Stroman, Stroman Entertainment, the Speak Your Mind show. And again, my good buddy Travis Short is back in the building. He's back in the building. I'm very excited. Let's bring on Travis right now. What's up, Travis? Let me unmute you.
It was me. I muted
Oh,
myself.
okay,
I didn't
okay.
want to make any noise through that wonderful introduction that you were doing. No, it is so cool to be back
Yes,
on the show
yes,
with you and with Bob, and it's been too long, man. It's been
yes, yes,
it's like you said, we back in January, I think probably was the last time that we did anything, and it's just good to be back and
yes.
excited to hang out with you and Bob for a little while and see what's going on in everybody's life and what's transpired so far in 2023. And yeah, as you mentioned, already halfway through the year. So
Yeah, it's pretty wild. That time flies so quickly, and life is life is a blink of the eye,
oh yes,
kind of a reality for us. Everything happens within the blink of an eye. So I mean, real time blink of the eye, life changes. And for the fact that we can even just have a conversation 6 months later, you still look good. Bob looks good.
yeah,
And to be able to be alive, I think we were talking about it pre-show, just to be alive, to be able to share some of our experiences that seem to forever change, get a little awkward, and at times it's really good, at times it's really bad, and everything in between. So I'm just glad that we're all still here, alive, and breathing enough to have this conversation. So that's just kind of in a nutshell the reality of it for me. I always
I give that two thumbs up. So I'm good with that. So
Yeah, and just that's, I mean, that's pretty much it for me. Other than the experiences that I've went through and gone through over this 6 month period that we have not spoken really. I just some of it I just can't explain. I mean, again, we're such emotional based creatures, so when we feel good. it's good. It's good. When we feel bad, well, things are bad. You seem to forget about the good stuff. It's like it's so weird, and everybody just wants to ultimately feel good all the time. But it's just not the way it's going to be. I find myself explaining to people all the time how this is just it's the yin and the yang. It's good versus evil. You can't feel good all the time as much as you want to, you cannot feel good all the time. And so how do we handle that cycle, Travis? How do we deal with when things are good and we can be good? Do we need to stop getting so high up when things feel good? Because should we anticipate all the time something bad happening? And I kind of know what you're going to say, but I'm presenting. I know, I see you laughing. I'm presenting this to you for a reason, and I think you know why. So do I get real up when I'm feeling good, and just accept when the bad stuff comes, and then just get really down, or is there a way for me to prepare myself for the bad times?
You know, I'm probably the worst person to ask that question to now that I think about it because I operate, I'm a realist. My ex-wife used to tell me all the time I was a pessimist. I'm like, I'm not a pessimist. I'm just a realist. Um, and doing what I do, media consulting and public relations and crisis management, you're always on the lookout for the next bad thing to happen that you're going to have to manage and mitigate the fallout and things like that. So I live my life, and you were talking about, there's ups and there's downs, and I think that's humanity. It's this roller coaster ride that we kind of operate on. You know, it's funny that you asked that question today because of the past 2 days, I've just been like in this funk. It's like I wake up and I'm in a bad mood, and I don't even know why. There's nothing has happened yet. There's not been anything go wrong. I've not had any bad experiences. It's just It's just like it's almost like this psychic anticipation that something bad is about to happen or it might happen. But I think we have to be ever vigilant because I think as human beings, like you said, we're very emotional. I joined Bill Beam last night. First time I've been on Bill's show in 8 months, and he had me
God,
come on,
that's good.
and we were talking. Bill has that phrase, and I appreciate it more and more that we operate at frequencies and vibrations, and
Yes.
finding where our frequency and our vibration is, and we're not all the same. My frequency and vibration is going to be different than you. It's going to be different than Bob's,
Right.
but and the thing is, we also feed off of each other's frequency and vibration. So the type of people that you hang around with, the people that you are associating yourself with, you're going to pick up on their vibration and their frequency. They're going to pick up on mine. There's this, like I said, this yin and yang, this give and take, this tension that's there, that we're constantly feeding off of people. People are feeding off of us. By nature, I'm kind of an empath, and I don't like that. So by nature, I'm really overly emotional, and I downplay that because over the years I figured out how to do it. But I get around certain people, and some people suck the life out of me. Some people encourage and boost me up, and I have to be very careful in those
Hmm.
situations about who I'm around and who I happen to might let my guard down and things like that. But I think the short answer to your question, now that I've given you the really long answer to your question,
Nah,
the,
it
sh-
was a
the,
good
the
answer.
short answer to your question is I think we live day to day. We take what comes our way. Uh, I was one of those people. Most of my life, I have tried to plan everything. I had a plan A, a plan B, a plan C. I mean, there was always something to fall back on. And I've actually learned the older I'm getting, just to roll with the punches because there's some things you just can't change. I mean, it's just life is going to happen, and you just have to roll with the punches. And if you do that, if you get to the point where you can actually do that, you actually start having a little bit more fun. And what I've
Yeah,
discovered is that when you roll with the punches and you just let life happen and you don't try to control it, you don't try to force it, you
yeah.
just let life happen. Not only do you have a little bit of fun, you come up with some really fun stories. You really have this ability to sit down and talk with people and say, here's what I've learned.
Yeah.
I've got a client right now I'm doing that with. Client is about 20 years younger than I am, going through some stuff, similar stuff that I've gone through in my own life, and I'm talking and helping, and I'm like, and I don't want to sound like you know, like, just give it 20 more years. You'll see. You'll understand. Bob,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, just give it a little bit of time. I understand where you are. I understand what you're trying to do. I understand what you feel. But if you honestly, and I think for us as human beings, if everybody talks about going to the past, if I could go back, and I do the
Yeah.
same thing. If I could go back, there's a lot of things I would change. But I honestly
Right.
think if we could jump forward a little bit and then look back, and we would have a better perspective of where things are going and how things are going to play out. So I think it's just, best piece of advice I can give is just live life, roll with the punches, get some good stories, and you can pass that on to the next generation behind you. Pay it forward by paying it back. So
Well, well,
that'll be
well
my
said.
answer.
Well said. And you covered a lot, and some of that I want to go back to. Big shouts out real quick. Our first comments coming in from YouTube. That would be our good buddy Todd. He's called himself Bigfoot, New York Tide. Good to hear from you, Tide. Good buddy. Can't wait to link back up with you. I know I spoke with you not too long ago about taking another trip up there to Jersey or New York, where you're at. So thanks for tuning in. But same question to you, Bob Heisler Jr. How do you cope? Is it are you preparing yourself, or do you do what Travis does and just kind of take it as it comes, and not expect too much all the time?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the way I've lived my life is based upon things that have happened and things my expectations aren't really high for joy and happiness and all that. And I don't have grandiose plans of being rich and famous. But like Travis said, it's a roller coaster. And I've always worked on like the dark side of life, being a police officer, being a private detective, then doing disaster response. So I see the negativity, the pain that is associated with life. And when you do that, I think you learn to feel whatever other people are feeling. You have sympathy, empathy, and you try to bring a little bit of light into other people's life. You know what I mean? You want to be that light because a lot of times it's not there. So I've always dealt with people that just they needed a spark, something, a smile, a laugh, a joke, a
Yeah,
bottle of water. You know what I mean? So that's
yeah,
how I've learned to live my life is because I've always lived in the shadow. My wife says now I never talked for 60 years, and now I don't shut up. You know, for 60 years I was that support structure for humanity. You know what I mean? I mean that was my job. That was on my shoulders, and now it's not there anymore. So now it's Bob Heisler Jr. and my family and my enlarged family of friends and what. So I think that's where I come from. I've always told people that I deal with things are never as good as you think they are, and they're never as bad as you think they are. So like Travis said, you kind of like to learn to go through the waves. You don't take the highs and the lows. You take the average. And you learn to live for the average. And that's pretty much where I came from. It's like life hasn't been great, it hasn't been bad. It's just kind of like average. And you make the best of the situation you're dealing with today, what's in front of you. You know. So I think
Well,
that's me.
Mhm.
and I think, I was talking to somebody the other night, and I think, one of the problems that we have is that we end up comparing our lives to everyone else.
Mhm.
And especially, and being in the media, and I know the media is guilty of it, we portray, your life is supposed to be this. You're supposed to look this way. You're supposed to have this much money. You're supposed to be in this situation. And we end up, putting ourselves up against these unrealistic ideals that don't even come close to what real life is actually like.
Yeah.
And I think, that's one of those things that drains us on a daily basis.
Yeah. Well, you talk about the draining, and it's so funny you said it again. And I was going to go back to you saying that earlier. And this is so I you know how terrible I am with this, Travis. Bob, not so much, but Bob is finding out. He will find out more through these conversations. But the draining. Let's look at it in a different perspective of, let's say, not so much medieval beliefs of the existence of succubuses and vampires and things of that nature, but you mentioned people around you, and then you mentioned frequencies and high and low frequencies. So with that being said, what what are the chances that there is a realm that these people are some sort of vampires, energy draining vampires that could be, and, I'm using that word because when you think of something that can draw the life out of you, um, or make you feel weak because of their vibrations, and then we're putting ourselves in the same atmosphere as them, and they drain you because of how they're acting. I mean, how am I stretching out a little too far here, Travis, or does that make a little bit of sense?
I don't think you're stretching it out far at all. I have always felt that there are individuals that are literally what you're talking about, these psychic vampires that drain the life out of us. And there's some of them I don't think they even know they do it.
Exactly.
It's
That's
just it's just that's how that's their vibration and their frequency. They operate like that. They don't realize that they're doing it. Then there are some people that I know personally, uh, that do it, and I have an acquaintance that tells me that they do it intentionally. They know the type of people that they can go
that's
around. They know the type of people
that's
that they can
that's
drain that energy from when they're feeling the need for that, and they hang around those people and they suck that energy out of them, and then they move on to the next person. So no, I truly believe that those types of people exist. Like I said, there's some that are malicious. They have the intent to do it. They know
hmm
what they're doing, and then there are some people that don't. There's some people that don't realize that they're draining you. All of us, and especially Bob, in law enforcement. I mean, you get around some people sometimes, and just what they're going through, and you're trying to help them. You're trying to be some form of aid or assistance, and you just walk away from that feeling utterly drained, like you haven't eaten or slept in days. And the same is true with clients. Stroh, when you are dealing with in your media industry, when I deal with clients, there's some people you just I used to have, there was a list of clients when I had the advertising agency
hmm
back in the late 90s, early 2000. I had my office manager. There was a list of clients. I don't want to, if they call, do not patch them through to me. Do not send them to my office. Don't send them to my phone because XYZ. This is why. Because if I'm on the phone with them, it's going to be a 2 hour phone call. I'm not going to get anything done, and I'm going to end up feeling utterly drained. And you're not going to want to be around me after that happens. So just don't send them to me. Take a message, tell them I'll call them or I'll email them when I can, when I can mentally and psychically and emotionally prepare myself to do that.
Yeah, and yeah, I agree with that. Because in our line of work, you got to deal with people. So it was kind of funny. You started kind of segueing into something I wanted to ask you about. uh, You, so a therapist, I get it, therapists and
Mhm.
psychologists, they get paid to do their job, but it's still a draining job. But before we really delve into that, because I think there are defenses
Mhm.
for some of that. So it's kind of like if if you're under attack by a vampire, you got your garlic, you know, you got your
Yep.
holy water. In a sense, all I'm saying is uh, I'm speaking from my own experience. This is what I do. I know how to deflect a lot of that. It's not always easy. Every now and then I get caught up, but I'm trying to master my kung fu, if you will.
Well
It
done,
takes
grasshopper.
you understand what I'm saying. It's not easy to do, but same question to you, Bob. I mean, are you do you feel as though you're around a lot of these entities, and do you believe in their existence, or is it more whatever, let people be people,
No,
you
I
got
mean,
your all levels of people, yeah.
I agree. I mean, and I've always been more in tune with like wavelengths of people, like Travis may say frequencies. You learn to read people very quickly, doing different things. And the jobs I've had, you could tell. I mean, there's people that immediately are going to try and suck the life out of everything you do, and there's other people that will try and lift you up. And also, like Travis said, some people I don't think even realize that's their personality. They're so used to being this certain way, and a lot of it has something to do with, I think a lot of times they don't have any goals or aspirations for themselves, and they don't want you to have any. If that makes any sense. I don't know if that's a little bit too spiritual, but a lot of people, if they don't have anything they aspire to be, they don't have anything they want to do that day, they don't have any they don't have any way of rating success, so everything's a failure. And some people just don't know how to handle success. We train ourselves to handle failures, but most of us never get trained to handle success, and we
That's
don't know how to do that.
that's an excellent point. Speak
Yes.
on that, please, please,
No,
Travis. Speak.
absolutely. I mean, I think Bob hit the nail on the head. Going back, to that realist side of me, I always expect a failure. It's the successes that I'm going, oh crap, I actually did something right. I mean, how do I handle that?
Right.
It's like we're so ready to go vent and complain when something goes wrong that when something actually goes right, we're like, well, that was just I got lucky or I was fortunate or well, maybe not. Maybe it's the effort and the work and that we have an area of expertise that we need to be focusing on. But one of the things that Bob said that I totally agree with is that we don't train people. We don't let them know, hey, when you do something right, it's okay
Right.
to be proud of that. And part of that goes back to, the foundational teaching of a religion that pride is a bad thing, and there's a difference in the pride that causes the types of problems that we see, you know, it's associated like with the example of of Lucifer being cast out of heaven because of his pride.
Hmm.
But being proud of yourself for doing something well, you should find pride in that. You should
Yeah.
take credit for what you've done. You should be able to not only take the credit, but you should be able to kind of one of the sayings where I grew up in the South is toot your own horn. If you've done
Yeah,
something right,
yeah,
toot your own horn,
yeah,
beat your chest. Talk
yeah.
about those things that you've done, and maybe I don't know. Maybe if we actually instilled that in people a little bit more, if we had them learn how to deal with their successes, maybe we wouldn't see some of the drug addiction and the alcoholism and the depression and some of the other issues that people face because we're not preparing them to deal with successes. We're teaching them to be failures. We're telling you're going to fail. You're never going to be this. You're never going to do that. And you tell somebody that enough, and after a while, they stop trying, like Bob was saying, and you get yourself around people like that. And it is a mentality. I mean, the area where I'm from in Virginia, the southwestern portion of the state of Virginia, uh, eastern Kentucky, southwest Virginia, southern West Virginia, northeast Tennessee. That area is very rural, and it's one of those things. There's a lot of people that for decades have been existing on government funding. They're
Hmm.
drawing welfare. They're all these things, and welfare is not a bad thing, but it's not meant to be a lifestyle.
Right.
Right.
But the problem is that it has become a lifestyle because it has become the answer to, to the problem
Yeah.
in their minds. But it really is the problem because all it's doing is keeping individuals stuck in one place. And I don't
Yeah.
mean geographically, I mean they're just stuck. They have no ambition, they have no dreams, they have no desires, they have no direction of how they want to do things. And again, that's not everybody in this region, but there is a population in this region that has done that. And you find yourself dealing with those people, and you begin, like Bob was saying, you just kind of walk away going, "What the hell am I doing? Why am I trying to do anything? Why am I even attempting to do anything?" Because they've sucked you into that mentality, and that mentality, that vibration, that frequency, that goes a long way. It goes a really long way in dictating the person that we become, the people that we become. You know, um,
Yeah.
it's just it's. it's one of those things, and every day is different. You know, there's days that are more challenging than others, and there are people that are more challenging than others. There's a lot of challenging people.
It's a very prevalent point that you're making because and it's funny to hear you guys say it like that. I'm glad you actually brought that point up, Bob, because it's the same thing that athletes go through, right? They've been so accustomed. You ain't gonna do it. You can't make it, and then all of a sudden they make it and they get all this money, and then they don't know how to deal with the successes. But I related that when you said it. It took a little bit. Then it dawned on me. It's like you're absolutely right. It's and we're that's how we teach, right? That's how for some reason, and it's not all of us, but we live in a society like that for some reason where people are so eager to drag you down instead of picking you up, or don't compliment you on your successes because they want the same thing, or everybody's fighting for the same thing instead of trying to lift each other up. But, I've been around both of you lately. Bob's in movies, and we're doing a lot of stuff. But Bob, when we're in a room together, my energy is uplifting. I'm trying to pick people up with me. I'm not running around like I'm the new sheriff in town, or my way or the highway. All these people that kind of have these ways about them that
Yeah, but
that
you
just seem to.
see, Derek, there's a big difference between confidence and cockiness,
Yes,
and we,
absolutely.
we all want to be around confident people.
Mhm.
They lift you up, they give you the power to do things you don't think you can do. But then when you go a little bit too far to where you're cocky, generally the people that are cocky don't have the ability to do what they think they do. They just want you to believe they can do it.
Yeah,
And
I,
that's why we have a government.
Right.
I, Bob, I've had a saying for years uh, that there's a difference between self-confident and arrogance.
Hmm.
Because I've been accused many times of being arrogant. I'm like, I'm not arrogant. I said, arrogance says I think I'm better than you. I don't think I'm better than anybody else. Self
Right.
confidence is where I don't care if you like me or you don't like me. I'm just going to be me, and I'm going to do what I'm good at, and I'm going to do my best at it. And you can deal with that yourself. But arrogance, no. I mean, and we see that a lot though in
Hmm.
individuals, especially in what you see it in law enforcement. A lot there's a lot of arrogance and cockiness in law enforcement. There's a lot of arrogance and cockiness in media, Derek. I mean, you and I see it all the time. Somebody gets a bit part in a movie, and all of a sudden they think that they should be driven everywhere in a limousine, and it's always going to be a red carpet. But it doesn't work like that. That's not the reality of how everything. Again, it goes back to those ups and downs, rolling with punches, the knocks that you take. It takes a lot of there are a lot of failures before the successes. There's a lot of falling on your face, but the true success is getting back up every time that you fall down. The
Right.
minute that you're a failure is the minute that you stay down and you don't
Agreed.
get back up that next time. Doesn't matter if it's the second time, the 100th time, the millionth time. The failure is when you don't get back up that next time.
And I just think it just happens to everyone. It doesn't matter your financial status. I'm seeing a lot of unhappy people, no matter how much money they have. It's like I think we're trying so hard to find that thing that again, I was talking about this earlier, that will make us so happy all the time to where we never feel discomfort, dissatisfaction, unhappiness. But I don't think that thing is out there. I think we're just meant to experience moments where you feel good, moments where you don't feel so good, and everything in between. So we started the show out by talking about that. How high should you get? How high can you get? At the end of the day, I just think you have to be ready. You have to have some kind of defense mechanism without letting that defense mechanism be like a minefield and be too trigger happy with it. You kind of got to be ready, but not show so much like you're ready. We see these people all the time, right? They don't talk much. hard to kind of get him to loosen up. I noticed because I was like that. One of the gentlemen that's on, he just come on the feed. He knows he was Johnny Lane, my good buddy Johnny he was one of them guys that helped me kind of relax a little bit. Sometimes when he saw me kind of a little tense, laugh a little, things of that nature. And Bob, because that's family of yours. You know how Johnny is. Johnny is instrumental in my life for helping towards that. But this is what he says you should do, though. I'm not going to tell everybody. Oh no, okay, okay. I read that wrong. I read that wrong.
Yeah,
He said he can get very high, but
yeah,
I think we kind of know what Johnny's talking about there. But yeah. Hey man, send
It's
me
good.
yeah,
I
go
miss
ahead,
Johnny.
Johnny.
I miss Johnny. It's good to see him in the chat room.
Yeah, no, he's hardly ever on this chat. I mean, Johnny, and forgive me, John, because I will. He said, look, he says very funny, Derek. Johnny, how should I say? We've tried to do shows like this before, and Johnny's not the biggest believer in some of these things that are going on, that we can attest to, and we're gonna actually get into a little bit more of that, because I want the audience to actually hear some of these things that have happened to us recently, and let me stay with Johnny real quick after I tell you what he says here. Always my pleasure, Trav. So he shouts out you, Travis. But not everybody believes in the paranormal. Not everybody understands or is willing to accept that there are existing realms out there that we can't physically see with our eyes. I don't know why, personally, it's so hard for people to relate when all these other things that are unexplainable still happen in our lives. I mean, why is it so hard to believe in that when we're composed of cosmic dust floating on a gaseous planet in outer space, with some other planets in the solar system that revolve around the sun? So people, that's okay though. Hey, oh, no problem. I get that. That makes all the sense in the world. Well, it doesn't really make sense, but we can't really explain that other than what science is trying to teach us. So we accept that. So another thing, the media, we accept whatever is being told to us, whatever you know jargon or whatever, I don't know, program that they want us to buy into. We just hook, line, and sinker. All right, not all of us. Some of us kind of buck the system, but a lot of us would just rather say, okay, I watched it on the news, or somebody I trust told me that this is what the case is, so I'm going to believe it. And I actually want both of you guys to speak on that before we move on to the next topic. Go
Well, I'm
ahead, Bob.
taking the lead.
Well,
I was
go
going
ahead,
to say I'm
Travis.
taking
Take
the
the
lead
lead.
thus far. No, I was going to say I'm taking the lead thus far. I'll let Bob lead off on this
Go,
one.
go.
I'll sit
Love
back
you,
and
love you. Johnny says, "Love you, Bobby."
thanks, brother. Love you too, man. You know, I'll relate a story to you. And I worked undercover for 10 years. And one year, I mean, I did a lot of work. I worked my butt off, sacrificed a lot of time at home to do what I thought was right. And I was actually like the top narcotics officer in the whole state. And there was a person in politics that didn't like me. So he had control of the press. So they sent a reporter to interview me. The headline for the newspaper said, "Controversial trooper is the top drug investigator for the state police." And that kind of gave me a wake up call to how much control media has in your life. And I still have that article. I still go back and glance at it every once in a while. It gives me like a sense of reality. Like with one breath, with one stroke of the pen, someone that has more power than you can change your life.
Yeah, I mean, that's not that uncommon to me, because that is the way society has been built. Think about it. Since the very beginning of organized culture, like societies, I think is the best word to use. Societies. Think about it. Okay, you build a society with, well, What are the things you're going to need to build? Okay, it seems like every society needs you got to have it. Back in the days, it was you need to have your church. Make sure we got a church here. Okay, now what do we need? We need a school. All right, we got a school. We need what, a post office, or whatever it is that we as humans and humanity who decided to grow together. It's everywhere throughout society. You needed that, but then there was another major thing that was needed. You need somebody to, what did he say? I'm looking. I thought Johnny was right. I think he is. I'm gonna read this message in a second. But now you need authority, right? So how do you govern all this? So that's where it got mixed up. So, all right, I'm going to tax everybody. I'm going to take everything you have, leave you pennies because I'm superior. I can easily just take everything that you have, and there's nothing you can do. This is what you went through, Bob. When you have um, supervisors and people, everybody supervises differently. You notice that certain companies are, they might be a lot real laid back and give you flexibility. Other companies are real tight and everything, has to be, under a microscope and micromanaged, and whatever you do, I'm going to watch what you do. And as soon as you step out of line, I'm on your, your hind parts and things of that nature. So I think this is what society has always been. It always will be. It depends on leadership, right? How do you lead? How do you trickle down to your respective leaders amongst your workers or your employees or whatever you want to call them. And how big is it? You got a small, Stroman Entertainment. I'm kind of small. I got a few helpers here or there, right? But then you got a big corporation. They got thousands. When they can close the door the next day and thousands of people get laid off. Thousands. You know what I mean? So these are the people in charge. We have to abide. And I'll say this, and I'll let you guys talk about this, further. That's why so many people don't like working for other people. It's because they don't like how those people are trying to lead them. I've had good buddies of mine say, Derek, man, why do you if you spent 8 hours just working on yourself or working for yourself, you could do pretty good. But why do you work for somebody else? Why do you do that when you can work for yourself? So I'll let you guys speak on that.
Well, as someone who works for himself, I hate my boss. I mean, I do. I mean,
Oh my goodness.
no, I'm gonna backtrack to what
I
Bob.
like I like I like that though.
I, I'm gonna backtrack to what Bob said, then I'll come back to what you said, Derek.
Mm.
I think a lot of the problems that we do face, a lot of the things that we do see in the media. And the media has a lot of power, I came out of broadcasting, I came out of journalism, I came out of those days. My take on the media and journalism is very different than it is today. Uh, I'm one of those individuals. I believe the media should be objective. We should not take sides. We shouldn't be putting. I mean, there's a place for editorials, and you should call them editorials. If this is my opinion, this is how you do it. Um, there are three executive branches of the government. Or three. The executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch, and then there is the fourth estate. And the fourth estate is media, and that media was brought in to keep those three in line and to keep them in check and to make sure that they were not usurping authority from the people, but that they were still, as Abraham Lincoln said, a government of the people, by the people, for the people.
For the people. Mm-hmm.
And what's happened is all of that's changed. Government has changed. Government is not of the people, by the people, and for the people at all. I don't care what party that you affiliate yourself with. It is not. It is not for or by or of any of us. And the media has stopped holding things in check. We've started editorializing everything. Now, saying that, I also, from a public relations standpoint, I've done exactly what Bob was talking about. Because all it takes is one word. You change one sentence or one word in a sentence, and it changes the entire perspective of the reader.
Hmm.
And I've told my clients, numerous times when I've been helping them try to establish their brand and be recognized, Bill being one, and others. All that I need as a PR person is for one media outlet. I don't care if it's a newspaper, I don't care if it's a radio station, I don't care if it's a TV station, I don't care. I just need one of them to refer to you as the expert in your field. And once they say that, once I can capture that, here's the expert, then I can use it to pitch you as the expert to all the other media. And that's the way it works. And that is the power. There's that saying, the pen is mightier than the sword. The pen
Yes.
is. The pen is mightier than the sword because, and coming back to what you had said, Derek, and leading into the question that you asked, Mom, people are lazy. We don't
Yeah.
want to think for ourselves. We don't want to research. We don't want to have to try to figure out. We want somebody to tell us what to think. This is how you vote. This is what you do. These are the things that you like. You like these movies. You love, I can't tell you how many times, because I love horror movies. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love my horror movies. I love and I love to find, you know, independent. I love independent horror films. I really do. I think
Yeah.
that's where the true beauty of the horror industry is anymore. But you see all of these things. The scariest, Barbarian.
Make
I've
sure
read.
you watch that one there,
Yeah.
Travis. That's a
Well,
good horror flick
that's
for
not
you.
that's not product placement at all. I mean,
Sorry.
no, I mean,
Sh- what do you
I've
say?
read.
Shameless
Yeah,
advertising? Is
shameless.
that?
I'm all about it. I mean, I'm fine with it.
Pardon me. Pardon me. Carry on.
You
Carry on,
send me
sir.
some
Pardon.
swag, I'll wear it on every. I'll have the hat, I'll have the T-shirt. It'll be.
Oh my
I heard about the movie Barbarian. It's supposed to be just the
God.
greatest horror film. Don't get me wrong, great movie, really cool concept. Didn't live up to the hype. Um, watched another movie the other night. What was it? Cobweb. Watch Cobweb. Cobweb, great horror film. Very, very minimalist. It was done very low budget, but a really good horror film. Had a very interesting twist ending. Kind of lived up to the hype. It's this, but we like being told, "Oh, go see this movie. Go read this book. Read this article. Buy this car." We just okay. You tell me what to do, and I'll do it. It's like I used to say, humankind has been stupid since the fall of man, because if you go back and if you believe the biblical account of Adam and Eve, they're like, well, it's all Eve's fault. She's the one that turned. She destroyed everything. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I said, you have to think about this situation really carefully. I mean, if you're standing in the Garden of Eden, imagine it. It's paradise. It's
Mhm.
tranquil. It's perfect. And the single most beautiful woman in the universe is standing before you naked, handing you a fruit. Are you not going to eat it? Yes, you're
Mhm.
going to eat it. You're going to take the fruit. We've been stupid all along. You put the right spokesperson in front of us, and we will do whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I listen, and as much as I say, I agree with that. Let me start by saying that as much as I say that, I don't fall victim to that kind of stuff at all. I That's not necessarily true. It
We all
depends
do.
on. I
Yeah,
think we all kind of do to a degree. It's it's kind of one of those things where we say we don't really listen to rumors. I think that's nonsense too. A
I
bunch of
listen to
people.
rumors. I listen to rumors all the time. Do I believe them? No, that's a different story. But I will listen to the rumors all day long.
But you get what I'm saying. But that's the whole thing. Oh well, well, Travis did this, and Travis did you hear what happened to Travis? Like, when those things come around to you, and Travis isn't there, and these people who you kind of look at as creditable sources sometimes, for the most part, you might listen, maybe not necessarily believe, but this is the same thing. That's your local media. Remember, back in the medieval times, and I know I always go back to it because this is where we come from. They didn't have TV. It took forever for a message to get somewhere. So I mean, I give you a perfect example of that. It's something I never knew of until my late 40s. This Juneteenth. When did you find out about Juneteenth? The day after the slaves were released, they didn't get a message until the day. Like, I mean, that's because they didn't have television. They didn't have easy access, cell phones, quick stuff to just look up. Now, so it would be word of mouth. What could you believe? What couldn't you believe? It's still the same thing to this day. I believe it's still the same thing. Bunch of people come talking to you about Bob now. You got to be like, well, I know Bob pretty good. That Bob Heisler wouldn't do that, or would Bob Heisler do that? I don't know.
I probably did it, Derek. I probably did. Yeah,
But there you go. Just a quick point out there. We go through this constantly. Everyone, but like I said, I'm guilty of it too. Enough people. I tell you what, if my boy Johnny Lane comes to me and tells me something right now, there's a good chance I'm gonna buy into it, and I might not want to believe what he's telling me. So that's all I'm saying.
I, I want to put myself out there for just a second because I've experienced this. So, again, not perfect by any means. I've made my mistakes. After my divorce, was going through a rough spot. This was 2008. Around there. Got a DUI. Got pulled over. Got arrested. Spent the night in the regional jail. Uh, had to have somebody come and pick me up the next day. That's bad enough, right? I mean, it's bad enough you have a DUI. It's bad enough you get arrested, all that crap. That wasn't enough. People then they started spreading these rumors in the community. Well, we heard there was a high speed chase, that he was trying to get away from the cops, that the cops had to shoot out the tires. I'm like, look,
No way, no way. Are you serious?
oh, no, I swear. Yeah, I was like, oh, there
Oh,
was a
you
high
being
speed
serious?
chase.
Oh my god.
The cops had to shoot out the tires. He fought, he resisted. And I'm like, look, none of that happened. Yes, I was drunk. I got pulled over. I paid the price. In court, I'm like, the officer put on the record that I was the most intelligent, articulate, and most friendly person he'd ever arrested. And he didn't even put me in the back seat of the car. He put me in the front seat beside it.
Wow.
He's like, he said, and I'm like, no. I said, none of that's true. But it's because, as human beings, it's not bad enough that somebody, going back to that failure thing, you can't just fail. We got to make it the most miserable, epic failure that you could possibly have. It has to be worse. It can't be that, oh, Travis got a DUI. Well, Travis also was eluding the police, and he was resisting arrest, and he was fighting, and they had to shoot out his tires, they had to do this, they had to do that. No, none of that happened. But that's the stuff that gets told. I'll give you another example. I was playing golf with my cousin the other day. My cousin, much like Bob in law enforcement, he's an investigator. Um, he's got 20 plus years with the Commonwealth of Virginia. We were playing golf, and I had tagged him in a post the other night because he also helped with the Mothman documentary. He did
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of the research, and he helped with producing it, financing, and all of that, just like I did. And I
Mm-hmm.
tagged the post where I had done an interview. And we're on the golf course, and he's like, I got to tell you, he said, I had somebody call me after you did that post. And they're like, how can you associate yourself with Travis Short? How can you be affiliated with them when this, and this? And my cousin, being law enforcement, used a lot of expletives in his answer to that individual. He's like, none of that's true. He said, I don't know where you got your information. He said, but none of it's true. He said, you need to go back and double check your facts. But these are the things that happen. I'm from a small town. I'm from a very small town. I mean, yeah, Mayberry, Andy Griffith and Mayberry makes my hometown looks like, or my hometown makes Mayberry looks like New York. I mean, it's just tiny. But that's
That's interesting though. What you're saying is so, and Bob, like, I mean, my point exactly is what he went through. It's like
right,
that small town
right.
might as well be a hundred years old, a century, a century old.
Oh,
They're still doing things the old-fashioned way, where they're using what they hear around town as creditable information, which
right.
which it is not, and or I mean, you can't break people out of habits like that. You have to grow yourself out of that. You have
Right.
to say one day, look, that's it. I'm done. I'm not listening to this nonsense no more. I will fact check myself. Heck, I one good way is to go straight to the individual. If it's even your business, that's another thing. People are involving themselves in other people's business. But a small town like that, that is news. So what are you supposed to do?
Well, 30 years ago, I worked the road in Westminster. It was rural, country town. I had high speed chase, two guys on motorcycles. One guy took off one way. I followed the other guy. Well, another trooper got involved, wrecks his car, and hit the motorcyclist. So here I am. I'm actually in a chase, and now I'm handling a motorcycle police involved accident, right? So I jump out and subdue the suspect. That's my first job. I got the guy cuffed. The other trooper gets out, starts to come towards me, and passes out 5 steps from his car. All right?
What?
We had to take him to shock trauma because he hit a pole, whatever. The
Mhm.
next day, the headline for the local newspaper was Trooper beats suspect with a club. Got, got 7 witnesses that saw what happened. None of this happened. I, you know,
Wow.
I got investigated by the FBI for a civil rights violation because people
What?
have an embedded view in their mind of what they expect to see.
Exactly.
It doesn't
You know,
mean what
you
they
you are
saw. They have an expectation that this is what happened. So I have an injured trooper. I'm taking care of him. Put a blanket under him. I got a suspect that's handcuffed. And the thing that comes out of all this is that I hit some guy with a nightstick that I didn't even have. You know, but that's perception of reality.
It is. It's that, and you said they
Wow.
had seven eyewitnesses, and I guarantee you, every one of those individuals are going to tell a different story. There's a great movie called Vantage Point. Dennis
I've
Quaid,
heard of that one.
it's an assassination attempt on the president, and the entire movie is done from different vantage points, different
Hmm.
perspectives of the individuals who witnessed what happened. And it's
Hmm.
not until you get each of their stories that the entire story actually plays out. It's actually a good movie. I may watch that tonight. Now that I just brought that
Yeah,
up,
you know what? I might try to. Hey, I might try to catch that one too before I
I was
lay it
going
down.
yeah, now
Vantage
that
Point.
Vantage Point. It's a
I
great
think
movie.
I've seen it, but
Yeah,
I need
I
to watch
saw
it
it
again.
I
Is
saw
that
it years ago,
Keith
but
or Sutherland or something? Keith or
yeah,
Sutherland
I
in it?
think Kiefer Sutherland, Dennis
Yeah.
Quaid.
Okay.
It's several big
Yeah.
names that are in it, but it does a really good job of painting that picture that there's an event. There's like the Secret Service investigating, and they're trying to figure out what actually happened, and they're interviewing all these people, and it's not until all of those people are interviewed that you actually get the entire story. Now, I'm going to stop there just one second. Did you say Westminster, Maryland? Is that
Yeah.
where you were?
That's
I
what.
knew that area well. My ex-wife's grandmother lived in Westminster. We used to spend at least a couple of weeks a year up there hanging out in Westminster. So I know the area. That's like Amish country. So
Well,
when you're saying
Travis,
It is. It is
imagine,
though.
imagine a guy from North Avenue in Baltimore City being sent to Westminster as their first patrol area, and
yeah,
the
I
first
can
thing
see.
the sergeant said is, "Yes, that's the right smell. Get used to it."
Damn.
Yeah, that area. Yeah, I mean, I never will forget. We went to the Amish market there in Westminster, and we were sitting in the car. We were getting ready to go in, and one of the Amish guys comes out. And he's talking on a cell phone, and I'm like, there's something wrong with this picture. And I'm talking to my ex-wife and her grandmother, and they're like, well, they can, and I knew this. The Amish can use technology, they just can't own
Right.
technology. They can't actually have it, but they can't utilize it. So I guess he must have left his laptop at home, so his wife called to tell him that he needs to come back and pick it up.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
but
Exactly. In the Mercedes.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
In the
Uh,
Mercedes. Yeah, I
um,
seen them at the gas station, like putting gas. I mean, like they
oh,
dress the part,
yeah,
but they have adopted some modern technology. It is what
yeah,
it is.
it's they can use it. They just can't own it. They can't possess it, but they can utilize it for business. They can make it part of their professional lives, but not their personal lives at home and things like that. But it goes back to I always tell people um, especially when I'm dealing with a public relations crisis or things like that. There's not two sides. There's no black and white. Um, every situation is like a Rubik's cube. There's multiple sides. There's multiple colors. You have to get everything to align just right to see the story the way that it's actually unfolding. And I think, going back to what Bob was talking about, I think that's, a huge problem that we have with media today is that law enforcement is painted to be really, really bad. They're painted, if they pull somebody over, it doesn't matter their color of their skin or where they're from, law enforcement is going to do the exact wrong thing. Whatever they're going to do that. And that's not the case, but that's the way that we've been programmed. That's the way that we are being, that's what we're being spoon fed. Um, and that's just not the case. Now, are there some bad cops out there? Absolutely. I'm sure Bob would say that. There's some guys in uniform wearing badges, probably shouldn't wear them, shouldn't have them. But that's the case of every field. There's all kinds of wrong out there. It's just we see these stories, we get indoctrinated, we get told what to think, and after a while you start expecting to see those things whether they happen or not. You see, same thing happens in the paranormal, the supernatural. You take somebody out into the woods, and I bet you that Bigfoot New York Todd will agree with this. If you tell them listen long enough, they're going to say that they heard something, they're going to say that they saw something, they're going to say that they smelled something, even if they didn't see, smell, or hear any of those things. But if you prime them just enough before you take them out, you can convince them. Same thing with UFO. Same thing with a haunted house. Same thing with with Mothman. If I were to take somebody to Point Pleasant, West Virginia, I could prime them enough on the drive. It's a 3.5 hour drive. I could get them so primed they are going to swear that they saw Mothman. And they got there.
You're
They're going
right.
to swear
You're right.
that they saw him. I heard it. I heard his wings. I saw him. There was a shadow. No, you didn't. I just
Nope. I
I
put
got
that up
you.
here.
I
Yep.
got it in your head. I psyched you up. I took you to these locations where everybody said they saw something, and you are in your head are going to have the same experience that they have.
Let me. I'm glad that's a brilliant segue there. You can tell we haven't lost our touch there, Travis Short. We
I
still
know it
got
seems
that.
like we've done, but it seems like we've been doing this for ages.
I know. Oh, Bigfoot Todd says true, by the way. And there has been viewers. I've been trying to put the comments up. Um, they're some of them are a little long. So Miko, hey, thanks for tuning in. Hey, it was great to see you on the show, Johnny Lane. Johnny Lane, you got to come on one of these shows if you're even still watching. But yeah, we'll talk about that later. Bigfoot Todd, he's still watching that. I'm sure he heard that mention you just gave. So I wanted to go back into something here, and I know it's getting late, gentlemen, and I'm really appreciative. This is one of those pop shows kind of just out of nowhere. You guys know how sporadic and spontaneous I am with stuff like this. And I'm so glad that I caught you guys at the right time. As busy as you guys are right now, Bob's at an undisclosed location. He
Yeah.
can't even tell us where he's at right now. This is a true story. This is
But you
true. He
did,
can't.
but you did save me 2 hours of therapy session, so I'm good.
So that's good. And again, just thank you for taking the time out. You as well, Travis. I know how busy you are. We got very lucky. I got very lucky to be able to bring both of you guys on the show tonight. Sorry, Zephyrin. Zephyrin tried multiple times to join the show tonight, and he couldn't. I couldn't access his feed, but next time, I'm sure we can get him on. But Travis segued into something that we spoke about early in the pre-production of this show, and I just want to talk about it a little bit before we close out. Real time is 9:39. Okay, so we'll probably shut down a little, probably around 10. So there is still a lot of strange things going on in our lives, and thus far we've talked about um, kind of the reality of life in general and what everybody goes through. Would you guys, and what we've been talking about all night is what life brings to all of us. Travis, I mean, you, Bob, I mean,
Right.
you're not the only former and still current police officer on the force.
Right.
Travis, you're not the only guy in media that or that has clients and has to whose voice is heard over airwaves of radios and all that, and deals with some of the things you deal with, and of course myself the same. But we all have our own personal experiences with something that could be more, let's say, paranormal based, and we can't really understand why um, these things are happening. Bob, you were talking about something that happened with you, and go ahead and go over that just a little bit, and so we can kind of pick up where we left off at pre-show.
Well, it's like I'm 65 years old. I've always done different kind of jobs. I was a police officer. I'm an auctioneer, and I always felt like there's another realm. I've always felt like I was a conduit to this other realm. And there was one incident where I used to buy art. I came home with a bunch of art I bought at the auction, and a home across the street from me was vacant. The occupants had passed away. Both it was an elderly couple. And when I came home, I looked over across the street, and there's a lady looking out the window. So I didn't think anything of it. I went in the house. I asked my wife, "Did somebody buy the house across the street?" And she's like, "No, it's all closed up." So I looked out the window. Sure enough, it was all closed up. So as I'm taking the pictures out of my car, about the fifth one down, there was like an early 1800s family photograph, and the matriarch of that family was the woman that was in the window across the street. So it's like, did it happen or did it not happen? I think it happened. It's talking about it now. It's probably been 10 years later. It still makes the hair stand up on the back of my neck because it was that real. You know.
Yeah, yeah, and again, these things are. I mean, how do you explain it? I mean, is it even worth trying to explain sometimes? And like I told you, what happened to me on that particular job site, and I'll explain it to the audience here. So for me, I was at a job where I had to deliver some material, and that material was at a school that the following day was not the same location. Same guys were there, and they were trying to convince me that that was the location that I was at the day before, and I knew it wasn't. I'm like, wait a minute, this is not the same school. Two schools, but not the same school. Because I remember, like I explained to you guys, I remember the shopping plaza where I went and had my little lunch, and then so the next day, I seen the item. As it was a strainer on the ground, so it was the same item, but different school, and it was confusing because I called him and I was talking to him. I was like, "Yeah, I'm on my way," and the conversation was. They told me the guy I talked to said, "Yeah, same place you were yesterday." That's a real conversation. Same place you were yesterday. And I'm like, you know how you pull in some place, and you know where you ain't been somewhere. Because if it was the same place, I'd have just, oh yeah, I remember everything about the last location. This is new, so I'm riding around and I'm trying to find these guys. I actually had to stop my vehicle, work truck, get out, go in the school. I walked all around the school trying to find these guys. When I came back out, the guys were standing around my truck. I said, "What in the world is going on?" So and they just look at me like it was nothing. And I'm just looking at them. They're on top of my truck. I'm like, okay, so I guess this is the same place as yesterday. No, it's not. But I'm not going to have this conversation with them. For one thing, it's two of them and one of me, so they're going to look at me like I don't know what's wrong with you. It's us that we're together, right? So you would be the crazy one. Now, if they were out, if there was the other way around, maybe. So because we're used to this, these experiences, the three of us, I didn't, you know, blink an eye. I just said, oh well, just one of those little experiences, and I'll just move on, and just let's see what happens next time that I could tell my guys on the show. But yeah, so while you had to step out for a minute, Bob spoke about what happened in his situation. You came back, and I'm telling him about what happened with me the other day on the job
Yeah, no,
site.
I had to take a call. I'm sorry,
There you go.
but I was still listening to Bob tell his story, and so I was like, phone. Bluetooth was in this ear, but I was still listening to what was going on over here. So,
Right.
was, uh, you know, we did talk. You were talked about your cat, and Bob had talked about the house across the street, and then you talked about the job site and things like that. And I was telling you about my dog when I got Cash
Yeah.
a couple of years ago. This little guy. I mean, he's miraculously, I don't know how he did it, but he was able to get out of a cage 2 different days simultaneously, or back to back rather, and with the door still being locked. But he was just sitting there on the floor. But I'll give you another story that, and I don't think that I don't think you and I were on warrior mode when this happened, Derek.
Hmm.
This was after Kev Baker's death. After Kev died, um, there was about a week when I was home alone. It's just me and Cash in the house, and I kept hearing music or noise. And I was going through the house. I mean, I had a small house when I lived in London, Kentucky. It was, 2 bedrooms, kitchen, living room, bathroom. There was a basement, but I never went to the basement. None of my stuff was in the basement. The landlord stuff was all in there. But I kept hearing this noise, and it was actually, I was beginning to think I was having auditory hallucinations. I was beginning to think that I was going crazy, or that there was something wrong with me. And it would come around every night around the same time, around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. I would just start hearing this noise and this sound, and I literally tore that house up. I went into my closets, I went into my dressers, I was pulling stuff out because I have ties that make music. I have Christmas ties that I'm like, well, maybe something has activated one of those. So I'm opening the drawers, I'm taking the ties out, nothing going on. I was on the phone one night with my ex-wife, who we're still really good friends to this day, and I was on the phone talking with her, and I was explaining to her what was going on, and I was like, I really think I'm going crazy. I think I need to maybe I need to go get some help. I said, because I keep hearing something every night. And while we were talking, she's like, well, what is it? I said, well, it's a sound. It sounds like music. I said, and I've
Hmm.
gone outside, and I can't. There's nothing. The neighbors aren't playing music. There's nothing going on. I'm like, and she's like, well, what does it sound like? And I kept trying to listen and trying to listen. And I'm like, well, honestly, it sounds like bagpipes.
Mm.
And she was like, and this was, like I said, this was like a week or so after Kevin died. She's like, it's probably Kev
Oh yeah.
just trying to let you know he's okay and get in touch with you. She goes, you just need to acknowledge it. And I'm like, okay. I said, no, I'm going to hang up. So I did. And I spent the next little bit just acknowledging, and it did. It became more and more clear that it was bagpipe music. And, I just told him that I loved him, and he was a brother, and that I missed him. And slowly but surely, it just faded into the background. And I haven't heard it since then. But it was like, for a solid week or 2 weeks after his death, that was this noise I kept hearing every night. I kept hearing it, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And this one night, she and I were talking, and I'm like, it sounds like bagpipes.
Wow, man, I miss Kev too. I
Oh,
mean, I wasn't expecting you to say that. And then you mentioned his name, and
yeah.
then it just impacted me. And I know, Bobby, you don't know who we're making mention of here. He's talking about Kev Baker. Um, used to reside in the UK, um, and we lost Kev. How long has it been now? Almost is it almost 2 years?
It will be, uh, yeah, it'll be
Yeah,
two
almost 2 years
years. It'll be 2 years. New Year's Eve, New Year's Day.
ago. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
because when I moved back to Virginia in 2022, when they did his memorial service, and they streamed it from the funeral home there in Scotland.
We were hearing. Bob, did you hear that? Was you hearing that sound when he was telling us about that? Was there some
Yeah,
kind of music playing?
I heard a
Or
tone. I don't know. I heard a tone. Yeah.
we kept hearing it. Is that your computer? Because it wasn't my. What was? Did you was you hearing what I was talking? What I'm
Yes.
talking about? It was like doo
Yeah,
doo
because I
doo.
was
That
looking.
might have been your
I
computer.
was looking to see if I had a short or something here.
Yeah,
No.
that might have been your computer, Travis. Because
It may have
that
been.
was
I don't. I'm looking to see if I had any notifications pop up or
it was
something.
like doo. It's not none of my. It was just weird that timing,
Oh,
and it was so quiet. And Bob
That
knows what
is.
I'm talking. It was so
Well, I was
quiet.
gonna say Bigfoot. New York Todd says bagpipes. I'm like,
I
I don't know. I
I
mean,
know. I
um,
know.
but
Yeah. So anyway, this is
yeah,
no joke. While you were saying that, I didn't hear that sound this whole show, and then all of a
Right.
sudden you be talking about Kev, and then he was hearing doo
Yeah.
doo. And the funny thing is, I was
Three
gonna
times.
be three
Three
times.
times.
That's what.
3 times. It was a tone.
Listen,
wow,
this is no joke. I'm not making this. You heard Bob said the same thing. I didn't look.
I did. Yep.
We didn't step away, Bob and I, and have this quick conversation and come back. No, this is happening in real time. I heard it. I heard it, and I thought it was maybe coming from your computer.
It should.
The funny
It
thing
should.
is,
It shouldn't be. And I was just checking my phone to make sure I had because I always try to turn my phone off so that the phone doesn't interfere with if I have text messages or anything like that. It's on silent, so I don't know.
and there you go, just a perfect example, real time on the show of something that happened. And I know because I got my phone here. Uh, I'm on my laptop. Okay, I didn't hear any sounds coming from my end, and it sounded like it was coming from your end because you were talking. So the sounds coming in as your voice is coming in. And
Yeah.
Bob wasn't talking. You know what
I'll
I
say
mean?
it was the sound came over his voice.
Over
Three
his
times.
over your
Three,
voice. Yeah,
three times.
Okay,
yeah.
Three
that
times.
one I don't know. I can't help you out with that one.
Big Bigfoot Todd says
Yeah.
it's Kev. Todd said he heard it.
Yep.
He heard it. Yeah, we heard it. I'm telling you, this is look. I don't know why I'm still trying to explain because it's the weirdest thing. I wasn't going to say anything. I don't think Bob was either. I think we was just going
I,
to just go.
I, I just wrote it off because I thought it was like on his computer, like you said.
Something coming from his computer or something. So we definitely heard it. When this show's over, you could always go back and see if you hear that sound
I
and see
will.
if you can identify. Come here, beautiful. I want y'all to say hi. It's y'all
Oh,
see who it is.
hey.
Yeah,
Wow,
saying
she's
hi.
got big.
Hi, Leah.
Yeah,
Hi.
She's grown
she's
up.
big. Remember, hey, it's Mr. Bob. Look. So, all right, beautiful. I'm almost done. Mwah.
Hi,
Love
Leah.
you.
Leave.
Huh?
No, want to leave.
You don't want? You can stay here. Sit down. Um. So yeah, that was just the strangest thing. I don't know. Like I said, go back. We'll go back. I'm going to personally go back and take a look at it, a look and a listen to see if I get down. You don't have get down.
I do have shorts. These are short.
They're too short.
No, they're not.
Hey,
Anyway,
wait,
huh?
wait till she's 19. I got a
Come be the
19-year-old
dad,
daughter. Just
brother.
wait. Just wait.
That is so funny. Who's
Hey,
Heather Terry?
I got a 30. I got a 39.
Wow. Wow, 39. But look, gentlemen, I'm not going to keep you much longer. So this is what I want to do. I'm going to bring you guys in a little closer here as we try to close this show out. I'm very thankful that you gentlemen came on the show tonight. And look, hey, real quick, you remember him? Remember Buzzacino? Finally,
Yeah.
he's always somewhere on YouTube watching, and he waits for us to come back out. And he's always got these real inspirational quotes that he says. And so I'll leave that up there real quick. All right, see you. New York Times says good night. He's giving us the wavy hand goodbye. See you, Todd. Hey, Todd, give me a call, man. If you don't call me first, I'm gonna call you. I know we got some stuff to talk about. It's good to actually see you chiming in there. And yep. All right, Buzzacino. Hey, yep. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for chiming in. I'm about to close the show out, but I appreciate you. Yep, we got Travis Short back. Tonight's special guest was Bob Heisler Jr., a good buddy of mine, um, police officer, current and former, and also now an actor involved in lots of productions. You might even have already seen him on a commercial. You just didn't know it was him. So, yep. So, gentlemen, not going to keep you much longer now. I do want to pick back up. I'll reach out. to you guys probably this week and see when I can get you back on so we can continue. I think I've already taken up enough of your time. I know she's about ready for bed. That's why she just crashed the feed here, saying, "Hey, you know what time it is, Dad?" So I appreciate all you gentlemen. And just as closing, you guys know me. I like to do a quick little closing. I don't know, something inspirational for our guests. And people who who care about what we do here on this Speak Your Mind show. Um, Travis, you want to go first?
Uh, you know, I you would throw it to me.
I know,
I
I
was in
know.
here. I was in here just listening to you and
Yeah,
thinking
sorry,
that
sorry, brother.
no, no, you're good. No, I think this has been fun because I've missed these shows. I
Yes,
loved it when we kind of started them. I guess a couple of years ago actually when we started doing them, and then
yeah,
uh, things kind of life got in the way, so you have to kind of roll with the punches.
yeah.
Um, what I would just tell everybody is exactly that. Live life, enjoy it. You know, I had a health issue back in the spring. I had two strokes, um, and
Mm,
I that kind of changes you a little bit. You kind of change perspectives. I was on a cane for several months. I couldn't drive for about 3 months, and so they were minor, and I was very fortunate. But it was funny, you were talking early on about how that you know perspectives change and all of that, and for me that truly happened this past March. I was at an award ceremony. I was overseeing the media. It was a black tie event, and I collapsed, spasmed, and was taken to the hospital. Uh, my worst memory of that is actually waking up because they had literally cut my tuxedo and my shirt off of me, and they were my tux and my shirt. I'd owned them for 20 years. The shirt itself had cost me like like $120. I mean, but they'd cut it off to save my life, and I'm thankful for it. I really am. But what's come
did
out of
not
that
know that.
is number one, live life, enjoy it. You only get one. That's it. Um, and don't take the people in your life for granted. Reach out to them. Tell them you love them. Talk to them. That's why my cousin and I started playing golf recently. We enjoy each other's company, first of all, but we lost a cousin a couple of years ago. Actually, Derek, you remember he died
Yeah,
when
I remember.
we were on warrior mode.
Warrior mode.
Yep, he had a massive heart attack.
Yeah, we were
He,
on warrior
he
mode.
was 52. He died. Um, and so we decided then we were going to start playing golf as often as anytime we could get the chance. We were just going to play golf and hang out and drink a few beers and enjoy life. So I know that's a really negative, upbeat ending, but the
Nah,
upbeat part of it is
nah.
it's life. Live it.
Nah,
Live,
nah.
live life.
Some of that I didn't even know, Travis, and I didn't know about the stroke. That's all new information
Well,
to
and
me.
I've only started talking about it openly recently. Because I don't put everything on social media. I don't tell everybody what's going on in my life. But I was on a show the other night, and I had a moment where I totally lost my train of thought, and I had to explain to the host live. It's one of the side effects from the strokes. I have some memory gaps, and I lose my words sometimes. So it takes a little bit of it's been a process. It was March 16th was when I had the strokes, and I spent a week in the hospital, and then in April I had another one, and then so it's I've tried to. It's like when you message me about being on the show, and I told you I was on the track trying to get my 4 miles in. That's what I've been doing. I try to do 4 to 6 miles every day, either walking or running. Just trying to get out there and stay active because graduate school had made me. All I did was drive to school, do my classes, come home, do my work, sit in front of the computer. I was eating some of the worst food I'd eaten in years, and it caught
Yeah,
up with me. But my positive thing is just reach out, live life and embrace the people that are around you. You only get you only get one chance at this. unless you believe in reincarnation. And if you don't live your life right the first time, guess what? That second trip ain't that great. So
Ain't
I
that
mean,
great?
you only get one. So I mean, take advantage of it.
It's great to see you come back so strong. I had a buddy, well, still have a buddy, excuse me, that suffered a stroke, and he's still bouncing back. And his recovery, although be it is strong and it looks like he's doing, it sounds like he's doing a lot better. Um, I tell you what, seems like you made a full recovery because other than the things that you're mentioning that you know are happening,
Yeah.
you sound and look the same. And I wish I could say that for my good friend.
I was very fortunate. I really was.
Yeah,
And had had a good friend and client not been literally standing by my side when it happened, I might not be here. But as soon as I hit the floor, she called 911. She had them call 911, and they were there within 10 minutes. And I was in the ambulance, and I was at the hospital, and it was not a fun experience at all by any means. Like I said, it's not fun walking on a cane. It's not fun not being able to remember. There are still these certain things, especially about that night, that I don't remember. There's huge holes, and there's still, I still have memory holes from other times. But
sure.
I've been very fortunate as far as bouncing back. Uh, Hopefully, if everything works out, we'll be going back to graduate school starting next Monday. As a matter of fact, a week from tomorrow. Hopefully, finishing this out and finish my master's degree, and hopefully, then we'll be able to find a job teaching. So we'll see.
Well, congratulations on a swift recovery. Big shouts out to you as far as what you got planned for the future. Monday, which what you talking about? Talking about tomorrow, Monday, or upcoming Monday?
A week from tomorrow.
A week from tomorrow. Well, I probably mentioned that. So, um, yeah, really excited about that for you. And I'll have you back on the show before that Monday gets here. We'll squeeze in a show before next Monday if you don't mind. I'll reach out to you see what time you can be available. Buzzachino says get well soon, Travis. All right, Bob. Your final thoughts of the evening.
Well, first off, let me say thank both of you for having me on. Time is important to me. We all only have a limited amount of time. You work your whole life trying to make money, and then you realize all the money in the world is not going to buy you any more time. And I think we all know that. We're getting to the point we realize it a lot more than we did the day before. Travis, I wish you well. I pray for you and hold you dearly in my thoughts for your
Thank you, sir.
recovery.
Thank
Uh,
you.
I say that with all my heart. Um, just a quick thing, I'd like to give a shout out to all the first responders in California, Nevada. Please keep everybody out there in your prayers. I did that for 16 years. It's an important job that they do, and not everyone can do that job. And I think it's important. These folks are leaving their homes and they're going out there for disasters. Please keep them all in your thoughts and prayers, and keep the folks in California and Nevada in your thoughts and prayers too, because not everybody is going to come out of this well. And so that's my final thought. I mean, it's important that we look out for each other, and let's keep doing that.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Prayers go out to everybody, all first responders, across the entire world. Obviously, in those places that you mentioned, Nevada, California, that are dealing with things currently. It's been a lot happening, and because some of us aren't dealing with it firsthand, we don't pay it a lot of mind. And I'm just as guilty. If you didn't mention that wouldn't have been on my mind, Bob. But that's why I appreciate people that understand what it's like to go through these things. People like yourselves that have fought in these situations and have run into buildings to save lives or patch somebody up that looked like they were in need of help. Personally, I do it my own way. Try to build young people up. I try to inspire people daily. But I'm not a first responder. I don't. I've never had to see anybody laying on the ground and try to come to their aid. So, Bob, I appreciate you for everything you've done to still be here. Travis, I've never had a stroke or succumb to a lot of things that you've seen in your life. Um, so I appreciate everybody that's worked really hard and have been selfless, and that will be my final thoughts for the evening as well. A profound guy, a profound guys. That's that's New York Tide speaking to you, gentlemen. Um, and it was a good show. It was a really good show. I mean, I'm glad. I'm actually glad we're closing out right now because I'm starting to get a little emotional here, guys. but but I mean, it's just I don't know, the mention of Kev and
Yeah.
everything we've been through. You hit me with some things at the end of the show here. I wasn't ready for, Travis, and I didn't know about that. So
I did
I'm
not mean to
actually
do that. So I,
yeah.
no,
Well,
I,
I mean,
well, the Kev thing, that was just, I knew you would appreciate it. And then, like I said, the strokes, I didn't, I made one post after my hospital stay. And I just thanked everybody for being there for me the night that it happened. And
yeah,
I've never said anything else. But it's one of those things. It's like everything else. It's like, talking about the DUI, talking, after those things have their season to pass, you can talk about them. You can talk about them, and you can make fun of them and joke about them. As a matter of fact, I've already told them I'm doing the award ceremony again in 2024, and my buddy is the after party DJ. I said, so when I come into the room, I don't care what's happening. I don't care what song you're playing. You have to stop, and you're playing Clarence Carter's "Stroking." I said, because that's what I want playing when I walk into the room. And
yeah.
he was like, "You got to be kidding!" I said, "No." I said, I want you to play "Stroking." I said, and
Stroking,
I'll and I
stroking.
and
That's
I'll
funny.
and I will deal with it, and we'll have some fun. I said, I even told the my client that does the ceremony, I'm like, we have this red carpet thing. It's it's an award ceremony, so we do the red carpet. I said, two things are happening. I'm showing up at the red carpet, and I'm jumping out of the back of an ambulance because that's the way everybody saw me leave last year. So I'm showing up
Oh
in an
my
ambulance.
god,
I'm
that
like,
is good. Yeah, I love that too.
I'm having a breakaway tuxedo since you cut mine off of me. I said, before anybody gets any ideas, I'm just going to rip it off, and then I'll have my other tuxedo underneath of it. I said, but that's those three things are happening: the
That
ambulance,
is funny.
breakaway tuxedo, and stroking. Those three things.
Please get video. Please get video.
Please get video of that. That would be
I
great.
will.
That would be
Trust me,
great.
I plan on it. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great Facebook Live media kind of circus. It's going to be fun. Yes, I absolutely plan on doing it. But
Yeah.
I,
Well,
and
you're with us, and you still got that great sense of humor. That's a wonderful thing.
well, some
That's
people wouldn't call it great, but yes, I do have the sense of humor.
yeah.
I do enjoy a good laugh.
But what was you going to
Even
say?
before certain times.
Yeah. I cut you off a little bit there. What were you going to say? Sorry about that.
No, no, I was just going to say it was so good to get the invitation to come back on, and
Oh yeah.
I will make every effort to be available to do this as often as you want to. I love it.
Yeah.
It's great. I love hanging out with you and Bob, and and everybody else that's part of the Speak Your Mind and the Paramedia activity. It's just it's all kinds of fun.
Well, look out for a message from me this week. Let's try to get this going before you go back to school Monday. And I appreciate you guys once again. I'm not going to take up no more of your time. We were on an hour and a half. I didn't realize it was. Yeah, remember I said I was. Oh, we'll just talk for a little bit, but there was a lot of catching up to do.
But we're done at 10. You said you were going to let us be done about 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
We're done at
yeah,
10.
yeah.
It's 8 after. We're good.
And our fellas joined us. I didn't get a chance to read all the messages, but I did put them all up. Johnny Lang jumped on. Miko jumped on. Obviously, Bigfoot Todd jumped on. Buzzacino jumped on. A few other people that I wasn't used to seeing jumped on. Forgive me. Janie Glazer jumped on. Heather Terry jumped on. So appreciate all of you. Everybody that watched the show tonight, I really appreciate you. Love you, Bobby. Love you, Travis. I'm gonna let you gentlemen get out of here. Look for a message from me this week. Bob, love to have you back if you
Thanks,
can
brother.
be available once you come back from your secret mission. I see
I'll
you.
try.
you
I'll try to have
uh,
more light next time.
Nah, it's good. Nah, stay undisclosed as you are right now, brother. It was not. I like that little look you got going on there. It's mysterious.
Yeah,
It
like the guy
suited
on
it
the
suited
news.
the show well. Yeah. Anyway, gentlemen, have a great night. Love you both. Love
Thanks,
of
brother.
the both
Love
of
you.
you. If I can
Love
get
you
that out.
guys.
You too, brother.
Talk soon.
All right. Good
All right.
night. See y'all.
Good night. See you.
Bye bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you everyone that jumped in on the feed tonight. It is time for me to close this show out. Um, yeah, had to bring it back, and it's back. I will be gearing up for the next show. Um, yep, just reading a message from my good buddy Travis. Will do, Travis. Let me just text that real quick. Will do. I can't spell all of a sudden. There we go. Will do. I love these fellas, man. Love all you out there too. I know I usually run my sponsors. I usually give shots out to good friends of mine out there. Ran a little over tonight, so I know that you guys know who you are out there. Love all of you. Get ready for the next regular Speak Your Mind show that will be coming up sometime soon. And then, of course, this version of the Speak Your Mind show, which is the Paramedia Activity version, where we talk about a lot of different things that people don't really want to talk about. But this is a platform to share those thoughts, things that are on your mind that you don't think people will believe. Well, we believe people that are going through things, right, and won't just discredit you instantly without hearing what you have to say. Okay, so we're here. If you need us, stay tuned for the next Speak Your Mind Paramedia Activity show, and yeah, have a good week. Don't do nothing I wouldn't do out there, but don't worry about that. That leaves room for a lot of things, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, be safe. Good night. Love you all. See you.